Hey, be careful, there's cars on the floor here.
Thanks.
Just so you guys know, I have a tarantula.
It's getting closer to Christmas, kids, and with only a few days left until Santa shows up and gives you that set of clothes you didn't want, I have a question for you. What makes a great Christmas movie? Is it the holiday setting of snow and Christmas lights? Is it seeing families come together? Or is it seeing terrorists being brutally killed?
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
The answers to this question are obviously going to vary from person to person, but no matter the criteria, there is something special about a movie that's able to be shared with families over the holidays.
Families suck.
One of which is what we're going to talk about today. Do you like crippling head injuries? Yes! Well, then I've got a movie made just for you. Grab some fireworks and a shotgun, kids, as we take a spoiler-heavy look at Home Alone. So Home Alone starts like any great Christmas movie, with the verbal abuse of an 8-year-old child.
Kevin, you're such a disease.
You're completely helpless.
Don't you know how to knock phlegm wad?
You see, this is Kevin McAllister, played by future lawsuit plaintiff Macaulay Culkin, and who seems to be hated by his entire family. On this particular night, things are more tense than usual at the McAllister home, as they are all preparing to leave in the morning for Paris, and the pressure is really starting to get to people.
I'm living alone!
A bit later, we meet Kevin's older brother, Buzz, who has some strange sexual kinks,
Is it true that French babes don't shave their pits?
and who looks like Syndrome from The Incredibles for some reason. Anyway, as Kevin and his cousin are hanging out in Buzz's room, they see Old Man Marley, which causes Buzz to tell them the story of how he killed his entire family, and whose action figure comes complete with salt bucket, snow shovel, and theme music. The McAllisters then sit down for a traditional Christmas dinner, and after Kevin and Buzz get into a fight over cheese pizza, Kevin is sent to his room, causing Kevin to make a fateful wish.
I wish I was Beyonce.
That night, while everyone is sleeping, a windstorm knocks out power to the house, causing everyone to oversleep and run late to the airport. As everyone quickly gets ready, the kids do a head count to make sure they're all ready to go, which is smart, because it would be a shame if any of them are left behind.
1, 2,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Eventually, they do make it to the airport, and as they run frantically trying to catch the plane, we get to listen to some music performed by a man who once filmed himself farting on a prostitute.
Run, run, Rudolph! Randolph ain't too far behind.
Finally, after narrowly missing their flight, everything seems to have worked out, but there's just one small problem.
It's an asteroid, sir.
And Kevin has been left behind. As Kevin walks through his house trying to figure out where everyone is, he makes the startling discovery that his basement is demon-possessed. And that he's a wizard that can banish people out of existence.
I made my family disappear.
Kevin then decides to indulge in the finer things in life: pornography, explosives, and firearms. We are then introduced to Harry and Marv, or as they call themselves,
We're the Wet Bandits.
two burglars who have mastered the arts of disguise and stealth. And with everyone gone for the holidays, have set their sights on the McAllister home. But thanks to Kevin's quick thinking, they are scared away, but will certainly come back. Back at the Paris airport, Kevin's mom has now realized that Kevin has been left behind, and decides that she will go back to the States immediately. But with no flights available, she has to wait at the airport on standby. And let's just be honest with ourselves, no one cares about this part of the movie.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Back at home, Kevin has started a new daily routine.
I always use an aftershave lotion with little or no alcohol, because alcohol dries your face out and makes you look older.
He then steals some money from Buzz so that he can go shopping for a toothbrush, but then something terrible happens, causing Kevin to commit his first misdemeanor.
Shoplifter!
Now let's check back on Kevin's mom. Where is she again?
Scranton.
What? The Electric City!
Unable to find a flight all the way back to Chicago, she runs into John Candy, who offers her a ride, and shoves her in the back of a moving truck and tortures her with polka music. Back at home, Kevin is really starting to miss his family, so he begins to stalk other families that he can claim for his own. Eventually, he ends up at a church, where he sees his neighbor, Mr. Marley. And after some hesitation, the two of them have a nice conversation, proving once and for all that Mr. Marley is not a bad person.
You're never too old to be afraid.
Kevin then heads home and sets up traps around his house in order to keep Harry and Marv at bay. And about an hour later, when they finally show up, things take an uncomfortable turn.
We know that you're in there and that you're all alone.
Why don't you come on in and have a seat real quick?
Then Kevin shoots Harry in the balls. And then he shoots Marv in the head. And after realizing that they are facing an armed resistance, the two of them split up and attack the house from different areas. Marv goes to the basement and Harry goes to the front door, causing Harry third-degree burns and Marv to suffer permanent brain damage. But it will take more than debilitating injury to stop these two determined crooks, and as Harry tries the back door again, his head is set on fire with a blowtorch. Where did Kevin get a blowtorch? Oh well, eventually Harry and Marv are able to make it into the house, and then they immediately suffer more head trauma. Then we see that Kevin has built a zip line to his treehouse, and as Harry and Marv set out to follow him again, you may ask yourself, why don't they just leave? They don't have to keep doing this. But you know what they say?
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
Which proves to be true, as Harry and Marv manage to catch up to Kevin and pin him to a door. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, Mr. Marley shows up again and goes Triple H on Harry and Marv. The next morning, it's Christmas, and as Kevin wakes up, he runs around his house, hoping to see that his family has come back home. But sadly, they're still gone, causing him to sink into a deep depression, and actually, no, they do manage to show up after all. Then everyone hugs, and they live happily ever after, the end. Way back when this movie came out, I was the ripe old age of 5, and ever since then, it's been a go-to staple for the holiday season. In fact, sometimes I watch it periodically throughout the year. And of course, as a kid, you're really only drawn to one thing, and that's the home invasion sequence at the end of the movie. But rewatching it so many times over the years, I've started to notice more and more how good Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern are in this movie. They're putting a nefarious twist on the straight man, funny man comedy duo, a sinister Abbott and Costello, if you will. And kids, if you don't get that reference, grab a Ouija board and ask your dead great-grandparents about it. Anyway, they both have great chemistry together, and they're able to deliver their lines with ease and believability. I mean, I don't know Daniel Stern personally, but I'm certain that he would have no problem flooding someone's house in real life. And I've never met Joe Pesci either, but I'm sure that he would have no problems with threatening a child.
I'll snap up your cojones and boil the motor oil!
I've also been really surprised at just how good Macaulay Culkin actually is at this age. Yes, there are some lines here and there that are a bit off, but for an 8-year-old to star in a movie where he's in almost every single scene, and to do it alone for the most part, is a pretty big task, and he seems to have handled it pretty well. One thing that is a detriment to the movie is the Catherine O'Hara storyline. It's not that she's bad or anything, but it feels like the movie forgets that she's part of the movie, and honestly, so does the audience. I mean, I get that they check in on her from time to time, but it feels like more of an afterthought. It's not like that's a big deal, it's just an observation. So, at the end of the day, would I recommend this movie? Well, I think it's obvious that I do. There's a lot of stuff to enjoy about this movie. It's still funny, the slapstick still works very well, and the messages of family are just enough to make their presence known without being too heavy-handed. If you're someone who hasn't seen it yet, you definitely should. Or if you have, maybe introduce it to someone else this holiday season. I think you both will have a great time watching it. Well, that's it for this one, folks. Have you seen Home Alone? What do you think about it? Leave a comment below and let me know. As always, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.